Welcome EDU 429 and 529 students to our true credit experience lasting over the next 10 days. Recognize that the course is asynchronous. All of the modules will be posted onto Blackboard. We'll discuss that as when we get to the schedule portion of the syllabus. But although self-paced, really in a 10-day period, welcome EDU 429 and 529 students to our true credit experience over the next 10 days. The course titled Teaching and Learning in Online Environments. We'll see at the top of the syllabus my information. Here, I'm Dr. Matthew Madden, Department Chair of Physical Education and your instructor for this experience. You'll see my email is my full name at cortland.edu. I can also be reached at my extension or my Cortland telephone number, 607-753-5700. Also, I'll have online office hours, either by appointment or scheduled by the start of the experience. If you were to meet with me virtually, you can meet me at my virtual office hours or in my personal chat room using WebEx. Please note that there are additional instructors in this course, which is actually important to know. There are 3 lead instructors or instructors of record, one coming from the School of Professional Studies, that's me working with physical education, teacher education students, Dr. Jacob Hall working with early childhood students out of the School of Education and one of the co-creators of this experience, and Dr. Chris Whittall, which some of you may know from EdTPA coordinator or Go React, and if not, you'll get to know her as we go through this journey together. This is important to note that although the courses look very similar and are actually titled the same as a 2-credit experience, each instructor has developed their individual sections to meet the needs of their students. In this case, me for physical education, Dr. Hall for early childhood, and Dr. Whittall for the arts and sciences teacher candidates. One of the bigger items to note, if you are speaking to friends or colleagues across disciplines, in this course, you will be in less of a group situation and more individually based on the nature of how physical education teachers typically work with their students in a one subject or a one course curriculum, as opposed to early childhood as an example, where students are together for entire days, so it makes more sense to create full communities. Yes, we will talk about community building and learner engagement and how to work and discuss in small groups or facilitate groups, but not with the emphasis that the other disciplines will. So, as you know, you are in a course that is 2 weeks before what I think is the biggest learning curve in teacher candidates' experience in college, and that is into student teaching. This is very important, as it is a course that will prepare you for not only our current situation in a pre-COVID or post or during COVID, but also during a post-COVID era. Using technology to work with students in the creation and in digital pedagogies is very important to your effectiveness as a teacher. Please recognize that the student learning outcomes align with the 5 modules that we have throughout the sections in order. So if you're looking at them from an introductory standpoint to a collaborative standpoint to an applied or outcome standpoint, we'll discuss that more in the course overview. There are no materials required because of the 2-week nature. However, Blackboard is full of readings for you to keep up with, respond to. There will be prompts for reading, also quizzes, and or projects. So it's important to keep up with the reading, even if it's not in textbook form. And I'll give you some strategies on that throughout the course. We've listed a couple of recommended resources, standards, and developmentally appropriate practices that you will not only want to capture and work with throughout this 10 days, but moving forward to recall information or review information while you're still crafting your own pedagogy. There's a course orientation in 3 parts. First, there will be some practical skills and strategies that we'll look at. We will, in each module, we will look through coursework and readings and pedagogical knowledge and online or applied pedagogical content knowledge. There will be some online work, and what I think is most importantly and weighted, some of the most heavy, is reflection. As a good colleague in the department says, learning is visible, and your learning and your growth will be visible through the responses of prompts, etc. As you can imagine, like any other online experience, there is a potential of running into some technical difficulties. So we've highlighted a couple of examples, or a couple of strategies. Make sure to save all your work, especially if you're working on something that's extensive, such as a lesson plan or the modification of a lesson plan, which you'll see in throughout the course in multiple checkpoints. We can save it using hardware, external hard drives, flash drives, but you can also save it using your Microsoft Forms or Google Forms, or something that you're more comfortable with in the submission of online resources. Course policies. There is not an attendance policy because we are not meeting physically or in person, but recognize that with the amount of assignments that you have in this kind of expedient process, it's important to check into Blackboard each day. We will pace it, and due dates will often be every 48 hours. So you'll see in the course overview that we will release, adapted release 2 modules for you to complete the assignments, and each of the assignments will do as highlighted here on the due date, at 11 p.m. So if you get to course requirements, as suggested, there are readings and engagement in readings, whether it's through a reflection prompt. So altogether, about 30% of your grade is to take a look at the material, spend or actively explore roughly 45 minutes to 60 minutes before getting into what is the visible reflection, and how you are understanding and applying that information. You will have some participation. As an example, there's a pre-assessment in the first module that will give the instructor, myself, some information on how comfortable you are with technology moving forward as it's framed. There will be roughly 4 survey type, Likert scale type of examples in which your participation is necessary for 10% of the grade. There will be quizzes as highlighted, and then mini projects throughout the course. The course dates are set up in this morning, today, if you're watching it for the first time on Monday, January 25th. You would, be introduced or opened up to the course instruction topics, and there you'll find the assignments necessary. As mentioned, 48 hours later, we will, or you will, pace yourself into community building. And each of these items are due the night before. So you will have access to the course introduction, in fact, on the evening of January 24th. And then on the evening of the 26th, you will have all the assignments needed for the course introduction submitted, moving into Wednesday, January 27th, in which you'll then go to community building and so on. I do really want to highlight that this course, as mentioned to folks throughout the process and preparation of this, if they were still on campus, etc., we're really going to treat this as professional development to get into your student teaching because of this context and because it's important, no matter what your individual placement may highlight for you. However, not completing grades or not completing assignments on time, not completing assignments, not completing them on time, and keeping up with the course could result in a fail or a no credit, which at this point, I know you expect more of yourself. I know I do, and the faculty in the department do. So let's treat this as if we were going to a conference for 10 days, and we are framing our pedagogy to be the most effective teacher to the people that to the students that we're going to have for the next 13 weeks following.